Hey there, friends. Welcome back to the She Thrives Club podcast. I'm so excited that you decided to tune in today. Today, we are talking about branding. And if this is the first time you are tuning in, welcome. This is a place where we discuss all things business, faith, and life and help you thrive in all of those areas. I'm your host, Val, and today we are talking about the deep world of branding. This is a fun chat. It's going to be my first solo episode, so bear with me. I'm a little nervous, but it's going to be fun. Today's episode is chill. I am not doing a special recording on video. I just wanted to take some time tonight and record this episode, making it very meaningful and making it very juicy with information. So, without further ado, let's get into it. You're listening to the She Thrives Club podcast. I'm your host, Valentina, and in this show, you'll be joining me and inspiring guests having incredible conversations. Here, we're dropping wisdom, sharing vulnerable experiences, and practical advice to help you thrive in business, faith, and life. I'm excited that you decided to listen in. Let's get into today's episode. All right, so let's get into the basics of defining branding. Now, I know branding is a buzzword we hear all the time, but what does it really mean? At its core, branding is all about creating a unique identity for your business. This is what's going to set you apart from everyone else. I know, scrolling through 1,000 mood boards and inspo on Pinterest, wanting to do a certain style and aesthetic is awesome, and that's great to set inspiration, but nothing sells more than a unique brand. And today I want to teach you different strategies on how to build that unique brand. It's about telling your story in a way that resonates with your audience and showcases your values, mission, and your vision. Now, branding is commonly misconstrued as just your logo, and this happens a lot when I meet with small business owners that are just getting started, people with big dreams, and they're like, okay, I want a logo, and this is what the tagline I have in mind. And I'm like, okay, well, branding is not just a pretty logo or a catchy tagline. It's about the feelings and perceptions people have when they think about your business. It's the promise, it's the essence that your customers feel when they experience your product. It's what they can expect from you. A brand overall encompasses your voice, it's your visuals, it's your customer service, it's the way that your team looks and presents itself. It's the way that you make people feel when there's a problem and customer service is handling something. It's the way that it looks on Instagram. Yes, it's the way that it looks on a website, email copy, a brand voice. All of those things begin to form branding, and it's a persona for your business. It's about building a reputation and creating connection that goes beyond transactions. That is another major thing that I wish a lot of people knew when they're getting started in their entrepreneur journey and they're thinking of starting a business. Your branding, your logo, all of these things coming together is what really drives that connection and that trust when someone is interested in partnering with you. And it's not about making another dollar bill, even though we talk about that a lot. We want to create deep connections and deep impact in our communities. So I want you to think for a moment and take a moment and think back to some brands that you love. Ask your scout. So I want you to take a moment real quick and think about the different brands that you love. What do you love about them? Is it their product? Is it their mission per se? Is it their customer service? Maybe it's the way that they make you feel, an emotional connection. All of those things go together under the umbrella of branding. And it's that one-time experience that determines if that buyer is going to be an advocate for the brand. One brand that I absolutely love is this brand called Made by Mary. It is a faceless business owner. I have no idea who Mary is. I've never seen her face. She does not show up on social media, but the vibes of the Instagram page, the photos, the videos, the message of the brand to the jewelry that they sell is so dainty and so classy, but also very relatable. Everything on social media, it feels very relatable. When I get emails from them, they don't sound salesy. It feels like Mary herself is taking time to write these emails. Everything looks very intentional, even with the colors and the palettes and the tones, what they make you feel. All of those things encompass a brand identity. So, listening to this episode, I want you to start thinking to yourself, if you are either already a business owner for a couple of years, you may know this a little bit deeper. If you have built a business kind of like winging it, like many of us do, I hope that you take some stuff here and apply it to make your brand identity even better. And if you are just getting started, I want you to take your notebook out because we're about to dive deep into how to build a solid brand identity foundation. Now, so many people just want to go straight into social media and straight into creating reels and content marketing. And I'm like, wait, before you do all that, you want to make sure you develop such a strong brand identity. And that's why I was like, okay, I need to talk about this in one of my first solo episodes. It is so important and so misunderstood, especially by business owners that are not necessarily in the creative space or are just more selling products and not really into the marketing per se. So, how do we start building brand identity? It all begins with understanding who you are and what you stand for. I want you to take a moment and think about the core values. What is the mission of your company? What is the message that you want to share with your audience? Your brand needs to reflect not just what you do or what you sell, but who you are and why you do it. This authenticity is exactly what draws people to you and gets them to keep coming back. The goal is not just to make a sale, guys. The goal is to keep people so obsessed that they are willing to pay a subscription, that they are willing to buy again, that they are willing to share with all their friends and family. That is the goal when you are creating a product and selling in a business. That is how you build a sustainable business as well. Now that you've defined your core values, the next step is to design a mission statement. And when thinking of your mission statement, you want to make sure that it is clear, it is concise, and it clearly dictates your business's purpose and goals. While developing all of this, you want to make sure to ask yourself, are you committed to sustainability? Are you committed to innovating in your brand? Are you committed to the customer satisfaction? All of those things are key factors when building your mission statement, your core values in your brand identity. Now, the next step is building a brand personality. This is what gives it like that pizzazz. Is it fun? Is it quirky? Now, is it professional? Are we trying to go for more the trustworthy? Is it warm? Is it friendly? Is it unhinged? Is it fun? All of those questions are things that you want to ask yourself when building this persona for your brand. How do you make them feel? For example, a bank, you want to make sure that you convey trustworthiness. You want to make sure that that person is that company is something that people trust blindly to keep their money at, right? We don't want to get scammed. Now, the same thing goes to if you are a photographer. The things that you post, the way that you show up, the way that your tone is on emails, to the way that you communicate with your clients, all of that gives that persona to your brand, and showcasing your personality brings you tons of profit. So I would go and blend them both. If your personality is witty and sarcastic and unhinged, I would bank on that and connect with people that love that type of personality. Your brand personality will shape your tone of voice and the way that you communicate with your audience. This is how you create those strong connections and that impact. All of that is conveyed through your brand personality. Now, one of my favorite tools of building a brand identity is creating a mood board. I love creating mood boards. Like Pinterest and I are besties every single day. From outfit inspo for my next vacation to what I'm shooting in my next photo shoot to the next website or the next brand kit I'm creating to the next social media post and aesthetic that I want. I love getting a visual representation and getting inspired off of a mood board. Now, I have a style, and it's gotten to a point that Pinterest just gives me all the goods at this point, and it doesn't take me a long time to sort through. But if you haven't done so yet, this feels so good. Go and create a mood board for your brand. And I want you to think of the following things and pin them to a literal mood board saying, this is the vibe of my company. Now, in this mood board, I want you to check off the following. I want you to look at colors, tones, and palettes. This is what gives the feels. And you want to use color psychology a bit. For example, if you have a very happy and joyful personality, you want to lean more towards like the yellows and the oranges. That's all very warm tones. If you have a brand that you prioritize trustworthiness, you want to go into like the blues and purples and greens that says, hey, you can trust us. If you have a company that is more like pastel pinks and pastel colors, you might be a little bit more playful and on the fun side. And if you have a brand aesthetic that's more like browns and neutrals and black and it's a little bit more edgy, you want to go to the sad beige crew, which is aka my crew, and develop a brand that feels like sophisticated luxe type of branding. Now, the next thing that is very important is your fonts. And these fonts, I love Jen Wagner. I absolutely love all the fonts that she has. I pay money to get those fonts because they are not your average Canva fonts or things that you can just find on like Google Docs or like regular free sites. These are high luxe fonts that sometimes I feel like you don't even need a whole brand and all you have to do is type out your brand's name into these fonts. But brand fonts are very important. The look of it, the vibe of it. Try to pin some graphics and website inspo that looks like the vibe that you want, and look and study at those fonts that they use. If you are working with a designer, make sure that you put this together to the most accurate representation of your brand so they can build something absolutely jaw-dropping gorgeous. Next step is images. How do you want your brand photos to look like? How do you want your stock visuals to look like? All of that needs to be curated and it needs to have a clear identity in mind. You cannot just post to post. You cannot just like have images that are not cohesive on your websites or on your emails or on your Instagram. Like all of it needs to be working in beautiful synergy. So that is very, very important. And other elements that you want to like think of is just like what captures the essence of your brand. What are the feels? What are the vibes? If there's any video inspo that you want, music, anything that really inspires you, you want to put this together on your mood board and clearly communicate it with a designer. Or if you are, DIYing your design, make sure that you build something very cohesive to that mood board. A mood board is like writing the vision. And one of the Bible verses that I absolutely love is in the book of Habakkuk. And what it says is, write the vision and it will come to life according to God's will. The mood board that you create, put stuff that is bold, put stuff that is your dream vision, put stuff that you see the brand that God put in your heart on that mood board. And if it's like extremely luxury and very, like, how do I explain it? Very elevated style, put that in your mood board and show up as that brand from day one. Watch how fast you get there when you start showing up as that person from day one. By putting this mood board together, you can get all of your ideas and everything flowing cohesively and aligned. Now that we've covered that, I want to talk about the next step, which is just arranging everything into one board and one plan that keeps it consistent. The next thing that I will look at is either Canva templates or website templates to start making everything look cohesive and have the same look and the same feel. You want to make sure that all the fonts that you use on your websites are the same fonts that you use on Instagram. That even if you use the in-app fonts on Instagram, that you stay consistent with those fonts. You want to make your brand stand out and be recognizable to the point that if someone's just scrolling through social media and they see that pop of color or they see that aesthetic and vibe, it one captures their attention visually, aka turning into more views and attention. B, it also increases the way that they engage with the content. It captures them in a way that they're like, okay, I want more. I want to watch even further. And it continuously keeps that rep of consistency in your brand. You want to make sure that the type of content that you put out reinforces your brand identity, whether it's your website or your social media posts, maybe your emails. The brand voice and the copywriting and the style of it is all infused by the personality that you have created. You want to make sure that it connects and that it reflects very clearly, that it's not off and it doesn't sound like somebody else is writing. That's why if you are a solo entrepreneur hiring maybe some help like a copywriter, they need to absolutely consume every single possible element of your brand voice and how you talk, so it doesn't sound like something fake is writing, or something fake like AI is writing, or something like another copywriter is writing for your brand. You want to make sure that all of that sounds very cohesive. Now, building a brand is an ongoing process. It's not something you do once and then forget about it. It's not something that you rebrand every 5 seconds. It's something that you rebrand maybe like every 3 to 5 years, or if there's a massive business change. Every touch point with your audience needs to be the same exact experience, if not better and better, every single time they have the opportunity to interact with your brand. And you want to make sure that every single step is just reinforcing that brand identity, that brand visuals, the brand voice, the tone, and all of those things. So you want to make sure that visually you are being consistent, and on the personal aspect, the way that you connect with the brand voice, your sales copy, all of those things, they is all working together in a beautiful synergy and contributing to your brand. Branding yourself is a crucial aspect of building on social media. This is just something that you can't take lightly. It's not just a logo. It's not just showing up with one personality one day and then another personality another day. People can tell, and subconsciously people trust you less when you show up completely different every single week. So make sure that you have that consistency. It does build a reputation for your brand. It does reflect whether it's trustworthy or not. And it's just something that cannot be underestimated. To take things even further, I want you to think about your brand identity in your blog posts, in your captions, in your Instagram bio, in your highlights, and your packaging. Oh my gosh, packaging is huge if you are in e-com. If you at any point gift something to your clients, let's say you're a wedding photographer, all of that is part of your branding and is something that if you value it and invest into it in the very, very beginning stages of your business will pop off, because those first impressions in business are so crucial. It absolutely changes the game. If you're currently kind of like, I've been in business for a while, I don't know about all of this, I have not done any of this, I want to encourage you to do a relaunch, a rebrand. Invest time in building a powerful brand and watch how money starts flowing in. And let's put money on the side. Watch how many people you connect with and the impact you make in their lives. Now, your content should also be putting out the same type of substance that your brand solves, the same solutions that your brand solves. So you want to make sure that that's even connected in the same way. Your content marketing, making sure that that's just connected as well. And yeah, that is branding beyond the basics of just a logo and colors. It is so much more than that. And I hope your audience gets to experience everything that your brand includes. Share your story, share your brand story all the time, the heart behind your brand, the mission and the vision, All of those things are crucial to making every interaction with your brand a memorable one. Now, from the way that you answer emails to the way that you say order confirmed to the way that you say, hey, thanks for inquiring with me, all of those things are so important and are making bigger moves on your client's heart than what you can expect. Always remember your brand will evolve over time. As you grow and change, so will your brand. So don't be afraid to always revisit and make adjustments. Just don't keep it changing every other day. Branding goes beyond just the visual and tangible. So make sure that you are creating an experience with everything, every point of contact that your customers have, and that you constantly tend to your community. That is so important with your brand. Community involvement and social responsibility is huge to a brand identity. The way that you show up for them, they will show up for you. It is more than making profit. It is about connecting with people. Not only will this strengthen your brand, but also build goodwill and loyalty. Again, we want them to keep coming back. Now that's it for today's episode, my friends. I hope you felt inspired and ready to tackle your branding and take it to a next level. Now remember, your brand is a reflection of who you are, so make it uniquely yours. You do not have to fit a mold of anyone else. You are the director of your life and God is the author. Be sure to subscribe to the She Thrives Club podcast. Make sure to leave it a review or a comment. I will always be checking them. And share with me through DM at any point any inspo or more tips that you want to hear on this podcast. Until next time, keep thriving.